Welcome, Jensen Vars here. Going to play session 2 of the Veil. The previous session, Caldar and Aitana were traveling around the downtown of Viridia in the lookout for the Nythors. The Nythors are a group of people or a faction that's supporting our faction, the PbtA. Have eyes and ears in this cyberpunk world where having real eyes and ears is valuable, because everything is hindered by hyper-reality. In this lookout we found a strange black door that took us to something called the Ghost Server. After joining the Ghost Server, we got in a cyberspace where a node was helpful enough to point us into the direction of another Ghost Server in the same city, which could be in danger, and that danger means the Nythors could be wanting to protect it and defend it, and that might be our only lead to find the Nythros people. Why do we need to find them? Apparently they're in trouble with the enforcement forces of Viridia after a terrorist attack in the city put everybody in quarantine. And they're one of the target groups, but apparently our faction leaders want to help these Nythors people, because they are probably not behind the real problem. So how can two people help them where we are specialists, eccentric characters? Aitana and Caldar are all regular people. And they need to grant safe passage and take these people back to safety. How many they are, we don't know, but at least the important leaders needs to be rescued. So, with that said, here we are in this area, and we need to go now here, which is the coordinate of this second Ghost Server. So let's see what happens there as our characters move in that regard. So I guess they're gonna take some buses or trams or underground. Probably underground is the best, safest and fastest way. Let's see what's the next scene about, but between that I want to open the Prompty Questions and have essentially storytelling question. Help ourselves. So it's gonna be random topic. The topic will be number 6. That means we're gonna be talking about a backstory. Let's see what's the question. 60. What do you think of honor, your word of justice? Honor and word mean a lot in this game, because everybody seems to be hiding the truth. This is why Aitana takes her word very seriously, and she is bound to the PbtA, because the leader of the PbtA has rescued her family as she was a child. They gave her sanctuary where she got raised, and since then she is bound to ever return the favor. For how long, who knows? But as long as there's someone giving truth to their words, she's going to keep her promises. Caldar, on the other way, he's only looking for answers. He's got the cyber tome, and he's gonna do whatever it takes to find the iconoclasts and destroy them before they destroy him. So if he has to manipulate or lie to anybody, he will. However, sticking with Aitana makes him quite a person of principles, so he has certain maneuver. This is what they're thinking about as they roll on the subway and move to the next scene, which I don't know what is it going to be about. Honestly, we're gonna get down the subway and land another district area around here where we are. Let's call this district the binaries, or binary. at least for now. Let me copy this and call this place binary zone. Don't ask me why. It was whatever it came first to my head. And all we know is an abandoned area, at least out of the law, quite of in between downtowns areas, so probably quite dangerous and, let's say, yeah, not the best area to go around by foot. Let's see what's the next scene about. Using plot unfolding machine. Got number 3, that is a challenge. The characters will be challenged. Let's see how. Number 5, some crafts or specialization. Alright, let me think of something. I might need some prompt, but I think what is going to happen here is, let's see, let's describe an object first, because I don't know really much. That's a 5 and a 7. No, 7 and 5. So there is something actively mundane. It's not giving me much. Let's see what's going on right now over there. 2 and 5, that's supporting someone. So we said here there will be a ghost server. Let's think about the context. There's gonna be the police. And there's going to be some activities in, let's say, sweeping out this area. And the first thing we have to do here is hide our interfaces for a while. So we need to get into incognito. That's usually tricky approach in the Veil because everything is interconnected. But what we want to make sure is that we can get closer to the ghost server coordinates in the binary zone and not be detected by the active enforcement that are there in the moment. So let me check which move could represent that. I think it's going to be when you're aware of and act to avoid imminent danger, we have to roll. On a 10 or more, we do as we describe, or 7 or 9, there will be a cost complication or something going on. So that's pretty simple move. Who's gonna lead this? I think Caldar is better at this thing. He's going to do it. No, actually Aitana is much better at hiding, because this is a peaceful state. And by the way, I need to remember that Caldar was successful at a powerful role in the previous session and at a scared role, and Aitana was good at the powerful role. Okay, so Caldar's gonna roll Aitana is gonna roll the peaceful approach because she's going to try to be out of the network, stay put, stay hidden, and turn off their interfaces for a short brief moment, because that's not an easy thing and we need to make sure we don't trigger any dangers in the net. So let's see how things go. That's a 6 plus 2, it's an 8, so we got a 7 or 9. That means We're gonna be achieving that, but there will be a complication. What can go wrong when trying to hide? There is some flying drone coming to scan some undetected signals. They are going to physically make a link between human flesh and the amount of interfaces that are running in the net. So we need to hide from this thing now. Caldar is going to look some alleys to hide, and he's gonna be scared to act on this because he's acting on pressure. So I'm gonna roll a 2d6 plus 1 for Caldar. It's trying to lead both characters to hide, but that's a 5. That's a pretty bad roll. That means we're gonna be found. And this drone, is it gonna open fire right away? Gonna be 50-50 on that. 4 and 8, that's a no. And so it's not gonna fire, and also it's going to give a warning. And it's gonna indicate that there's intruders detected that are not linked to their interfaces. Please resynchronize your interfaces, or we will take serious measures. This is what the drone says. The question is, what do we do? I think I'm tempted to shoot it, but that would not be nice. We could run, but that also isn't nice unless we can really run fast and hide somewhere before the thing can trigger an alarm somehow. So it's gonna try to follow us, so it's gonna be quite hard, but let's try to run. How do they feel when we run? I think we will feel joyful. So let's attempt to run and hide with our energy. Come, let's go. That's a 6. That's also a very bad roll. The thing is gonna pursue us. Caldar and Aitana will jump over certain fences, get into some house of like through the windows, and some people screaming, and they are pushing us out. They close the window, and we are like kind of in a terrible situation. We look back, and the drone is there, and it's going to say, runners detected, opening fire, calling for reinforcements. And this thing is going to open fire actually, so that's gonna cause us some harm, probably some harm, and now we will have to defend ourselves actually. So Caldar is gonna take his pistol and make the last resource move, which is a neutralize. So let's see what happens with the neutralize move. We are scared, definitely scared. So Caldar is opening fire with a scare feeling. This is +1. Sorry, that's an 8 + 1, it's a 9, so it's a good roll. You generate 2 hold and you will take harm in the doing. So Caldar is gonna take his pistol out, it's gonna shoot at the drone, the police drone, and it's gonna take some harm in the attempt. So I'm gonna light harm Caldar here. He is left arm bruised or grazed. That hurts. With laser fire coming from the drone, Aitana is taking cover. We take 2 in the neutralize move. We can inflict harm, take away an advantage, suffer little harm. I'm not gonna do that. I already took the harm. Force a change of location. Impress dismay, or fighting your opponent. So first things first, I'm gonna force a change of location. So I'm gonna shoot at this thing and also inflict harm, which I'm gonna assume it's enough to shoot down the drone and also be able to hide in some other's balcony's house. And let's see if the balcony's house is empty. Let's ask. 6 and 5, that's yes, it's empty. So we are fortunate to find a balcony that's open. Aitana knocks with the back of her katana, the doors lock on the balcony, and they jump in the house and hide inside. With the drone lost, they have some time to gain. But things didn't have a great start, let's say. So we'll have to add now that we are locked. There's an active story trouble now, which is scanners pointing at us. It's not good, but it is a story trouble. Now we will have to look for another unofficial way through the houses. This house is probably ringing some alarm, so we have to get out of here because we are intruding a house. And as soon as the drone is knocked down, showing some electricity bumps, we're gonna cross by the alley and just run in some other direction. Eventually, after this thing happens, some patrol comes by the area and we try to hide and simply get that hell out of there. We are trying to look for the ghost server though, so we're gonna find a way to get there. So I'm gonna call that either strategize, but we're gonna take a look at this distribution of the streets and probably some alleys and strategize a path. That's what I would like to do. Or maybe analyze. Yes, analyze. So you're kind of sad that Aitana feels kind of sad that we couldn't get directly there. So I'm gonna roll a sad feeling for analyzing the situation. That's a 6 plus a 1, that's a 7, that's a bear, 1 hit. So there is a way. There's a way to get to the ghost server number 2. But it's not easy. We've got to come across some police forces and a barricade over there. So we are going to try to walk our way around it to look for a spot to get in. Since it's not easy, I don't know what happens as we look around, so I'm gonna roll a new scene prompt. That's a 7 and a 3 for the second roll. The 7 is to activate the story trouble. Story trouble number 3 is there's a lot of crime out in Viridia. So we're gonna find some robbers and thugs, or let's see. Let's describe them. 9 and 7. That's mostly innocents. So there's gonna be a lot of, as we come across some of the alleys, there's gonna be a very big crowd of people traversing a marketplace. And it's incredibly crowded, which is good to hide in the crowd. There are still certain drones scanning for us, and we are with the interface turned off. We are looking at serious, like at what we consider real, because we're off the net, but really looking into possible ways to get in. And what Aitana notices is that there's a bunch of guys following us in brown jackets, and they don't look exactly nice. Gonna come to the game unfolding machine here to generate probably something interesting with let me see. Let's have some enemies with an imminent intention. Game Unfolding Machine do this. Maybe this is a good prompt to get us going. That's a 12. Capture or imprison someone relevant. So I think based on this is that these thugs or bandits in the streets, they're surrounding us. You see some of them coming from the front, some of them coming from the back, and even some of them walking behind the selling points, the selling posts. So they're essentially surrounding us. And I don't think they look like cops. That's for sure. They don't look like cops. The question is, what could we do, right? I don't want to get in a fight. Don't want to call attention. So what Caldar's gonna do is stand up, be quiet, and Aitana's gonna get very, very close to him and see what the other guys do. These are following us. Probably not nice. And let them come. I wanna know, what do they want in order to be able to roleplay them. Let's see their apparent intent. That's a 3 and an 8. They want to demand plans. So this guy approaches, and one of them comes close to us. Let's generate a character with the character generation by the impression they give. That's a number 4. He's distinct, different, weird. So a guy full with a brown jacket. We can tell, however, that his hands, part of his face is totally cybernetic. Like, he's more a cyborg than a man. And we can notice that as he gets closer. And he's gonna look at Caldar and Aitana and is gonna say, "You're not invited here. What the hell are you doing?" And Caldar's gonna say, "Look, we have no shit to give to you. Just leave us alone, we're not looking for trouble." Let's go back to the NPC interactions. I'm gonna play this with Goom and say, indicate what's their attitude. That's a 9. Doesn't recognize your presence nor wants to. I don't want to see you here. You're gonna come with us. We're gonna take you out of here. Follow us. If you don't want any trouble, that's your best bet. Caldar and Aitana looked at each other. No, we need to go that way. Oh yeah? So that's gonna be a confrontation then. If we want to go that way and they want to take us the other way out of the marketplace, that's gonna be a confrontation. All the way. So Aitana's gonna look tough here. Let's see which basic move could we use. But before that, I'm gonna let my imagination explore this location a little bit with a Prompty question. That's a 71. What's the name of this place? Why is it called so? So I guess this place is gonna be called the binary market. And it is called so. Why? That's a good question. Why is it the binary market? I'm gonna call it binary because there are 2 dominating factions. The character probably don't know that, but let's give them a chance to know this. Aitana is a person of connections, right? So I'm gonna let her roll a peaceful, and if she's successful, she could know about these binary factions in the binary zone district. It's not easy, but let's try. This is what is happening on her head. That's a 10 plus a 2. That's good old 12. I'm gonna mark a win on her peaceful role. So she's thinking coldly about who these people are. And Aitana would have known about these factions in this place. So she knows there are 2 dominating factions. I'm gonna roll 2 factions with Goom based on what is their focus. That is a 13. One of them are rebels who want to break an established order, system, or authority. And the others are looking for destruction. Consider everything as old, ugly, and harmful, and as threatening to them. So these guys are destruction forces. So Aitana's gonna play the role that she belongs to the other side of things. And if they don't want any trouble, they better stay outside, out of their way. So let's try an ultimatum here with a peaceful role from Aitana to convince them. Let's reroll this one. And that's a 6 plus 2, that's an 8, so we're gonna get what we want with a complication. What do they want? Is there a want? I need a want. I think a general characters has a wants table in Goom. So let's see what do they want in exchange of letting us be here. 9. They want to trade, make a deal, do business. So they will want money. Cool. So, oh yeah, you want to go on your way, then you'll have to pay the market fee. Because I like you, so I'm just gonna make it easy on you. You give us the creds, we'll leave you alone, no question asked, for today only. And Aitana's gonna mention to the other faction. I'm gonna ask, are the other faction the actual people we are looking for, like the Nythors? Because that would be cool. That's an 8 and a 9. That's a yes, unless there are a sub. Okay, so yes, it should be the Nythors, unless there's some sub-faction or sub-tribes in this part of the neighbors. So it's just gonna say, look, I'm gonna pay for the day, but if I watch you bother us again, you're gonna have a big problem with the Nythors. Okay, I wonder if mentioning this word means anything to these thugs. That's a 2, no, and an 8. No, and they don't care. Ah, yeah? Well, if they manage to survive, because the paramilitary are kicking their asses right now, so give us the money. And I guess Aitana will pay 1 cred. She's gonna salute them, let them go, and Caldar is looking at her like, this is so much a bad idea. But at least we're on our way. So the challenge is over. We move on, we look at the marketplace. Totally with our faces covered, trying to go undercover in this binary market zone. And we eventually will have to find a way to get into the ghost server through a place let's describe some area. That's 8 and a 1. That's commonly ruined. So there's a building that's like really collapsed down, and There's some people sleeping there and some beggars and so on, but it's an opportunity for us to skip the police barricade and get into this closed area of the ghost server, which is like being overrun by the paramilitary, right? Because we knew that the police wants to sweep this area from the people we are looking for, the Nythors. So we're gonna go straight to the ghost server, and I'm gonna generate a scene because I don't have any idea of what's going on there. There's probably some paramilitary forces doing things here and there, but I'm gonna leave that open right now. So let's go for a scene prompt. 7 and 5, that's another story trouble that's gonna get activated, but in this case it's number 5, the violent law enforcement, which confirms our expectation. There's gonna be a huge movement of... I picture this is gonna be an actual, like, because if they are barricading the place, it's because there's a fight here, a conflict, right? So we're gonna be hearing like actual armored vehicles, drones, and some shooting in the background. So things aren't exactly going well around here. So we're gonna analyze the situation, maybe find a high spot, elevated spot somewhere. Aitana and Caldar are gonna climb some alley stairs and find a good look around the city, hide as much as they can, and look for anyone who's fighting back. So do we see any forces fighting back, or it's mostly paramilitary right now? Let's see if there's anyone fighting right there. 5 and 8. That's a no. And it's pretty quiet right now. So we only see paramilitary forces moving here and there, but they have to be following a pattern, right? They are probably overtaking certain buildings, taking people out, probably also taking some prisoners, but we can't tell exactly what. So I'm trying to observe. Aitana and Caldar are going to try to observe this situation. There's a violent situation when there's a bunch of prisoners and there's a bit of a chaos situation here. But we're trying to identify a node of conflict actually. It's like if they are going in any right direction, and indeed they are. So I'm not gonna face, like, we're trying to evade these paramilitary forces, but I'm gonna generate another scene prompt. That's a 6 and a 1, that means there's a relevant actor taking action. And that would be the Nythors. So eventually, you're gonna be paying attention to the paramilitary force moves. And we're gonna see an armored car. And this armored car is gonna, like, literally rocket, like, barrage one of the specific buildings. Like, at random, this is just happening. It's like, it targets one specific spot, and bam, it's like 10th floor, balcony goes boom, and lots of bricks and pieces of the building just like fall down. And that's where we see a sniper. That's our target. So the question is to find our way over there without being seen. But in that building there's for sure some forces from the Nythors, and these people are targeting a sniper. A sniper from the Nythors, probably. So I wonder how complicated it is to get there. But I'm gonna roll another prompty question to get my creativity going. On any topic, actually. Number 2, that's a question on traveling. Okay, I like that. And we've got 33. What could we do if we wanted to rest or find shelter? Okay, I like this question a lot. If we were living in this district right now, which is getting bombarded, assaulted and swept out by paramilitary forces, by drones and armored vehicles, where would we find shelter? One option would be the sewers. The sewers, my friends. So eventually Caldar and Aitana, you look for a slightly open sewers deck. And that's totally somewhere we could go. Caldar takes notes, visual notes of the direction we want to go, and asks Aitana, what do you think? Well, the paramilitary forces know probably about these sewers too, so they would be probably looking through them and sweeping them out too, wouldn't they? Caldar says yes, but probably the locals know it better than the police. There must be some hidden spots. Maybe if we move fast, we'll be able to find some opportunity to get by. I don't see any other alternative unless we get a way to get across the buildings and evade all of the paramilitary forces on the surface. I think you're right. The sewers will have to be. We might find some people there as well. So, looking at this situation, there is an APC shooting at a building, targeting some snipers, and I would guess the Nythors would want to protect their snipers, right? So it's very likely they're gonna be shooting back and opening fire soon, because this is a frontal attack right now. So as we get to the entrance of the sewers, some smoke grenades can be heard around the corners of the streets, and some shouting of the military taking position and taking cover, and some shooting as well. The armored vehicle pulls back, that's what we can see. But we have no time, and Aitana said, let's hurry. Let's get into the sewers. Okay, for the next scene is in the sewers. I'm gonna roll a new scene prompt to see what's awaiting us down there. The situation is not nice, but we get a 10 and a 1. That's a time to retire a plot. Interesting. And that's a number 1, that means a world aspect is gonna be retired in this scene. And that's the number 9, which is the quarantine in Viridia. Alright. So what's gonna happen is, I mean the quarantine is no longer valid because we are in like in a conflict zone, of course. The quarantine is going to go on, but with this fight happening in the middle of the city, this is not only a quarantine. I'm gonna retire this, but replace it with state of emergency in Viridia. So it's gotten worse, but it's no longer a quarantine. It's like a full state of emergency in Viridia. So yeah, there's no more quarantine, there's more like a... This is going to trigger a big thing. It's like, it's not a small thing to have an armored car in the middle of... so close to downtown, opening fire like this. So we're talking about civil war probably at this level. We hear the firing outside, and we rush towards the north, and we get some TV screen where they are like showing news of what's going on and the state of emergency Viridia is getting into. And Aitana is like, if there's a TV, there's probably someone watching here. Do we see anybody? That's a 3 and a 9, that's a no. Unless So we don't see anybody unless there's someone hiding. There's nobody here essentially. So Caldar's gonna say hello. Not the bad guys here. Show yourself up. Does anybody show? Sorry. That's a 3 and a 0. No, nobody shows up, of course. Yeah, that was like not a good idea to speak out loud, thanks Caldar. So they stick to the side of the wall in the sewers and come by a sidewalk where in the middle there's this kind of water. There's this TV pointing, there's a couch there, but of course it's empty, it smells really bad. And we look around and I wonder if we see anything. What do we see? I'm gonna go to game unfolding machine here and generate some discovery. Plot discovery. Maybe some enemy activities or recent occurrences. Yeah, let's see what happened. Let's roll our recent occurrences. That's a 6. Disastrous situation or catastrophe occurred. So as we follow up this coach in this TV area, we look around and there's a small room to the right side of the sewers, probably from old maintenance. But what we see here is a lot of civilians dead, and it's so unfortunate and so sad to see such a scene where they were like literally opened fire upon in the sewers. Aitana's gonna look around to see if there's anybody. I'm gonna assume there's nobody. We're gonna look for survivors. It's very unlikely, but are there any survivors? That's a 10 and an 8. That is hard to say, or yes, and so essentially we find someone. Let's generate it with GUM, character generator, based on their possessions. Let's generate a character and an NPC by the possessions. Number 3, a gun. So one of them seems to have a pistol on their hand and still breathing. Aitana would say, look, Caldar, somebody's alive. But they're totally unconscious, so it's hard to say whether they're gonna make it. They are heavily injured and we need to help them right now. Damn it. Do Caldar or Aitana have any first aid skills? These kind of playbooks don't tell exactly like what are these characters' skills, to be honest. But we have something more eccentric, which is gaze into the abyss for Caldar. When you analyze, you may ask one of these questions. Who here is most afraid? Who here is keeping secrets from me? No, this is totally not relevant. We need to find help for this person. The question is if we are ready for first aid. That's a good question. This kind of RPGs don't tell me exactly what my characters could do. But Caldar has a cyber eye. We're out of the system anyways, playing offline, so we cannot use some of these artificial intelligence helping systems. But I'm gonna give it a go, and we are scared that this person will die. But we're gonna try our best, and Caldar's gonna try to hold the wound as much as they can and try to find some bandages, and Aitana's gonna focus on looking for some first aid kits around. So let's roll these two things. They're gonna be scared rolls Aitana's gonna play the sad person. She doesn't want this person to die. And Caldar is scared to figure out what happened here. So, first, Aitana to see what she finds in the sewers rooms. That's a 6 plus 1. That's a 7. So she finds what she wants with a complication. And what I'm gonna assume is she's gonna trigger one trap that the civilians were setting for the police. It didn't trigger before. So as she enters one of the rooms to look for supplies, there's a bathroom, small bathroom, and like literally an axe comes swinging by and she tries to evade it, but she gets hurt in the way. So she's gonna get one harm, one light harm, and she's got shattered. So as she jumps off, she falls into some shattered glass bruises in her back. So she rolls back from this swinging axe, super lethal thing, but she falls into some glasses set up as part of the trap as well, and she's get like cuts and it hurts, but eventually she finds some first aid utilities. In the meantime, Caldar is gonna roll his scared roll, gonna mark a sadness point here, and Caldar is gonna try to keep this person alive. He's got a 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1 is 7, so he's gonna succeed at a cost. So he's gonna be able to manage to keep this person alive, but they're gonna be unconscious for a while. They're not going to wake up so fast. They lost a lot of blood, and but somehow we managed to have them stable by combining what Aitana found, some bandages and some antiseptics, and what Caldar first aid skills got him through. And Aitana's gonna say, I don't think we have the time to wait until they wake up, Caldar. That's gonna be a tough call. If we wait, we might get some information, but we might better move on and find others in the sewers. That's gonna be tough to leave this person alone. But you're right, we cannot stay. So the characters decide not to stay and we're gonna move on. I'm gonna play one more scene in the sewers, crossing through the hallways. Let's go for it. One more scene. 9, progress and active thread, that's good. And 4, to see which thread. 4 is find and help the Nythors. That's good. I wonder how this scene is going to be. So I'm gonna describe what kind of locations we encounter. So let's describe some area. That's a 6 and a 1. So we've got legally ruined. So what we're gonna find is some paramilitaries getting like literally their ass kicked by the Nythors. Like we start hearing some shooting and we see like one of these police forces jumping like back and like essentially bleeding out from gunfire. We quickly take cover, Aitana and Caldar, and I'm gonna make a rolling Prompty question in this middle of this situation to narrate this scene a little bit better. That's a 4, so it's gonna be a question about situation. Let's get a Prompty question, that's fun. 90. We should ensure not getting robbed or lost something. So yeah, the grammar is terrible, I know. I think we got this question before. Gonna roll another one. 42. Which background noises would we like to shut off? So in the sewers, there's the sound of the water coming by, the smell, but in terms of sounds, it's probably this distracting and very loud advertising sound and music that the Nythors are probably placing all across the sewers. There's huge and loud music and advertising, probably to help distracting the forces that are fighting here, and be able to, you know, be stealthy when it's needed. So there's this annoying background sound in the sewers as we approach it, and we get to the scene where there's a crossfire and the Nythors are kicking their asses. So I'm gonna assume that, let's ask, are the Nythors winning the fight? Three and a 9, that's a no, unless we help. So yes, they are putting up a good fight, but we could intervene here. So it's time for a great fight. And I'm gonna leave that fight for the next scene because this session has been long and I might need a break. But I like the idea of having found the Nythors down in the sewers, putting up a fight both underground and up there in the surface. And we're gonna meet some interesting characters in the next session, probably, and figure out a way or escape route for everybody. Thanks for watching, and if you would play this game differently, please let me know, or let me know what you think so far if you watch the entire hour I just played. Thank you and stay in touch. Bye bye.